Hello, Mark. I'm Sylvia, and my student number is 28. Now I'm going to read the article. 1 days-old out fight for son after mom adopts him to China. Brian made with his son Alex, now 5, who was taken to China by his mom almost a year ago. Photo Brian made. It's been nearly a year since Brian Made, a Utah information technology worker and former U.S. Marine, waved goodbye to his son Alex at the airport. The boy, then 4, was on his way to China with his mother, May's ex-wife Yuna, to visit family in his mom's homeland. They were due to return in 45 days, but never made it back. May knew right then that his biggest fear has come true. Yuna has successfully carried out an international parental abduction. I took them to the airport, and I feel like a complete buffoon for letting that happen, May, 34, tells Yahoo Parenting, his voice thick with guilt. She was much more convincing than I gave her credit for. Story: Mom of kidnapped boys turns to wait to find them. Thus began May's new reality, spending every bit of energy on trying to bring his son back home from Dalian, Yuna's hometown, where the two has been living her parents since May 2014. It's been a frustrating, labyrinthine, upsetting fight, and has so far involved a U.S. State Department, the FBI, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Chinese Central Authority, assorted lawyers, and a Netherlands-based mediation firm, all to no avail. May's efforts has put him into severe debt, and he's already spent more than $50,000 fighting for Alex's return, in addition to about $58,000 for his divorce, wiping out his retirement account. Now he's launched an online crowd-raise campaign, hoping to raise enough money to continue his legal battle. But the emotional part has been the roughest, particularly since May has seen Alex just briefly during the whole time, for a few days in October, when he went to see his son for what's been their only visit since Yuna, known in the U.S. as Nina, took him to China. Story: My husband killed our kids. I hugged him before I left. I was holding him in my arms and saying goodbye, May recalls. It was the most stressful, difficult thing I still had to do in my life. I feel like an idiot, like I let her play me, about how living without Alex has affected his existence, he says. This impacts me every single day. Alex made just 4 days before he was taken to China, photo Brian made. Knowing exactly where his son is and not being able to do anything about it has been particularly difficult. Sometimes May says Yuna allows him to Skype with Alex. I tell him I love him, I miss him, and that I hope he can come soon, May says, adding that Alex no longer speaks English and appears to only be interested in watching TV and playing games on his iPad, even when they are on a Skype call together. He worries about how Yuna has explained his absence to Alex, and about how he doesn't seem to be attending school. Yuna did not respond to an email from Yahoo Parenting requesting her side of the story. It's awful, these poor little kids, Joel Coyle, May's Utah-based divorce attorney, tells Yahoo Parenting. She explains that while allowing Yuna to travel to China with her son was a stipulation that they eventually agreed to in a divorce agreement, it was one she and Mel has great reservations about. This was definitely a big fear of his, but his ex-wife wasn't going to stop fighting for it. So it was either we go to trial fighting it all the way for $25,000 or come up with something we felt was safe enough. So they put the safeguards in place, Coyle explains, which included having Yuna sign another side statement saying that Alex was a U.S. citizen and that he was to be raised in Utah, requiring that she purchase a round-trip tickets for their travel, having her put up the title of her car as collateral, and also requiring that Alex a temporary visa which would expire, which is adds. Now she says, my client has spent so much money and has tried everything, and everyone has left him hanging. The cruises of the problem with getting help from officials in this case is the involvement of China, which is not a party to the Hong Abduction Convention, a treaty that many countries have joined in order to provide a shared civil remedy among partners countries to work towards the best interest of an abducted child. Brian made with Yuna and Alex before the divorce. Photo Brian made. Unfortunately, for some of the non-Hajj countries, there may be some challenges and difficulties. Maureen Head, a supervisor in the Missing Child Division of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, tells Yahoo Parenting. One problem, she says, is that those countries, including China, won't recognize you as custody orders. Other challenges: filing international abduction charge against Yuna with the Justice Department could potentially force her into hiding. May says he was advised, while enforcement would be difficult since there is no extradition treaty between the U.S. and China, but all cases vary widely, she says, and even when they seem hopeless, things can turn on a dime. I've seen situations in which it seems nothing can be done, but things change day to day, she says. The parents may want to negotiate. The parents may want to come back. The parents may want to travel. In March, the FBI was able to stop an attempted parental abduction to China when the dad in the U.S. alerted authorities that his wife has just boarded an airplane to China with their 4-year-old son. He had been alerted via email by his wife. The plane was turned around 4 hours into its journey from Washington, D.C., and the boy's mother was arrested. She now faces up to 3 years in prison. That father doesn't know how lucky he is, May says. Like the parents in the Warded kidnapping case, Mel and his ex-wife have joined legal custody for their child, but now he and Coyle have submitted a petition to modify that decision. To have Yuna served with that petition, they've had to go through the Chinese Central Authority and are prepared for it to take up to 9 months. If Yuna doesn't respond within the required 20 days, Maid can get a sole custody order, but China may or may not accept it. Maid met Yuna in 2003 in Tokyo, where he was on vacation while was stationed in the Marine Corps in Okinawa, and Yuna, a Chinese national, was attending college on a student visa. The two became a couple and Maid got a job at the naval base off the coast of Tokyo. They eventually married, having Alex on U.S. military property, making him an American citizen in 2009. The family relocated to Utah when Maid found an IT job there in 2012. From there, the situation began to devolve. There were disagreements about how to raise Alex, particularly around the medical issues, and Yuna's belief that their son needed a battery of tests and Chinese herbal treatments. She was like a hypochondriac, but for him, May explains. He filed for divorce, as well as a police report and order of protection when he says Yuna tried to stab him later. After they were separated, local police charged her for child neglect after a neighbor reported Alex walking alone in a busy street while Yuna was out grocery shopping. Matt provided Yahoo Parenting with the documents relating to each incident. Maid said that once Yuna has gone to China, she told him the child neglect charges made her afraid to come back to U.S. He convinced police to drop the charge, but Yuna remained where she was. That's when I realized it doesn't matter what I say or do, says Matt, who is not willing to move to China. She's only convinced with what's best for her, not for our son. These days, he's moving forward as best as he can, but he misses the times he'd spent with Alex. We'd play Legos and Hot Wheels and go to the playground and the museum, Mel says. Every Saturday was our day. Now the dad finds weekends particularly lonely, especially if he stays at home, where Alex's room is set up and waiting for him, and where Steel boxed Christmas presents for his son sits in the basement. I will never give up this fight, he says. Thank you for your listening.